This is my piece, Hellfire, Homestead, Bushwhacking, Dingo, Restaurant Painting number 4. I guess because it was part of the series Exchanging Culture for Flesh, and I was doing the forgeries of prints and manipulating the works after they'd been, painted. So I was keeping in mind that system, so I would paint the landscape and then, sort of in a sense deface it just with a loose brush. But in terms of its subject and its content, it was really just about, it was winter when I was doing the series of work, and I was listening to a lot of Neil Young on the CD, and I just thought it'd be really nice to work in a log cabin sort of thing, environment, So in a sense, it was more like my personal feelings at the time about maybe isolation, getting away from things, and the black horse is more referential to, everyone knows about the black dog of depression. Winston Churchill talked about that, and it's sort of a cliche. Everyone talks about, depression's a black dog. And I went through a small bout of that, and I was thinking that, this is sort of interesting, but horrible at the same time. And I was thinking about the black dog sort of not strong enough for such, an extreme sort of state of mind. So I decided to develop like a black horse image that would be something a bit more, poignant to the experience that I had, and so the black horse is basically my sense of depression, and the skeleton is more like a portrait. It's sort of me as death, and it's referencing mortality and everybody's sort of, we're so strong but so fragile, but I've got my finger sort of stuck up, but at the same time it's pointing down, so I'm trying to have some strength, but I'm sort of still a bit wobbly or something, But in a way, like doing these paintings, I don't usually do paintings that are personal. I tend to, develop them from other things, but everything's always going to be about experience. But this work in particular was sort of a one-off where it was nice to actually just get inside your own head for a while and develop a painting from an experience. When I was developing all the works for the series, I was just collecting stuff from all different sources, and from Vinnie's shops to Flemington markets to cartoon books to children's books to my own photographs to stupid emails my friends had sent me, and then other just like more serious research I'd been doing. And it was just a combination of things that would develop into the work, and there was no real set structure for how each painting would develop. But for this one, I found a country and western songbook, and it had a photograph of just the snow scene. So I ripped the cover off it and thought that's sort of interesting the way I was thinking, because in the studio, isolation, sort of, a bit cabin fever, it's winter time. So I thought it'd be nice to do a snow scene, but I didn't really know what was going to happen within the snow scene. And then the black horse actually, from, one of those kitsch velvet mass-produced paintings they do in Mexico, and but they're so beautiful, but sort of horrible, but actually, I just thought, well, I'm going to take this horse out of this really sort of kitsch sunset, and just put it in the opposite environment, put it in the snow. And then the skeleton was sort of just my free thinking of how a skeleton would look. So, anatomically it's totally wrong, but it's just about that sort of child basic instinct of what the skeleton's going to look like. The way that I paint, in a sense, is sort of the wrong way to paint, in terms of the way you're taught, say, because usually it's like you do a drawing and then you do an area and an area, and it sort of becomes like a one, there's not really a layering, it's a certain flat plane of producing a painting, But because of my interest in, say, like I was saying, the murals and billboard painting, you see these around the streets or wherever, and because of, other people putting posters or graffiti, there's always this this layering that happens within the social setting, and I think I like that idea of that's how I'd like to produce the work. And also for me, it's sort of an easy way because you can do the sky, do the snow, do the shack, do the flowers. It's like this. It's like you get to see how it's going to sort of shape. It's sort of it's sort of, I don't know. It's like cooking or something. It turns into this end product, and it's this system. But also, I like that idea of layering and seeing texture. I don't try to use all the colours in the rainbow. It's like, I have hundreds of colours in the studio, but I like this sort of tonal thing where neutral colours can just be sort of neutral colours have become sort of exciting and vibrant just through the use of one brighter colour, So I like that way of working, of this sort of darker neutral colours to lift it out. But because it was a snow scene, it's going to be cold and it's going to be blues, and so it was sort of an obvious palette choice. But even the blossoms are probably a little bit dull, and it was all about this sort of neutralising the palette so the blue would just jump right out. So people can sort of read into it what they want. I'm not trying to be an activist, basically.